Okay, thanks for tuning in back to the Flying Life channel. We've got the tiny QX90 here from Gearbest.com, so thanks to them again for review. They did send this out to us, so I will have a link in the description down below if you want to pick this one up. So the new tiny QX90, the QX90, there's I think the QX80 and the 95, and there's a bunch of these little new micro quadcopters coming out. And with the winter approaching and the bad weather, you're going to want to pick one of these up, especially if you've already got a transmitter, you know, hobby grade style transmitter. They come in a lot of different formats. This one, obviously, as you can see from my background here, is Spektrum compatible. So it's a DSM2 receiver that comes with this, which is really nice. So I had to pick this one up and check it out. The biggest difference that you're going to see on this versus the other QX90s on some of the other websites is that this is 2S compatible. So this actually comes with a 300 milliamp 7.4 volt 2S LiPo. So it's going to give you a little bit more power. I'm not really sure about longer flight times. I don't have the one cell version. You get about 5-minute flight times because you do have a little bit more weight with this. But nonetheless, 2-cell QX90. So that's really awesome. You know, the one cells, I'm sure they fly fine. I did another review of a similar type quadcopter on a one cell, and that was nice. But I think with this, it might be able to have a little bit more authority outside, maybe a little bit more punch. If you do want to do some outside flights with this, so we'll definitely take it up for a flight and see how it does for you. I have been flying it a little bit indoors. I'm going to do an outdoor flight as well. And then at the end of this video, I will have a kind of a screenshot layout presentation for you of how I have it set up in cleanflight. I had quite a bit of problems trying to get this to bind. Actually, I bound it just fine to the Spektrum, but it wasn't reacting, and I just had to change some configuration things after doing a lot of research online. Unfortunately, this quadcopter really doesn't come with a lot of instructions. There is actually no instructions. At least mine came with nothing. All I got was the quadcopter. I've got 2 sets of props you can see here, and those are like little over 2-inch props. That came with it, and the battery, and that was it. So if you get some kind of a manual, congratulations, because I didn't. But anyways, hopefully you know, we can kind of go over this with you a little bit to try to explain it and help you set up to your Spektrum. There is a I believe a FlySky version available as well, or FlySky, one of the two. So if you want to pick that one up, if you've got that type of, you know, Tyrannus or whatnot, you can use this for that. So anyways, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the build on this quadcopter. So just taking a look at the frames, and if you've seen these, you're going to see these should be about the same dimensions as all the other QX90s. The biggest difference is the 2-cell, but just to show you here what we're looking at. So frame on this guy going to be, make sure we've got it zeroed out here. Looks like you're going to be about 1.5 millimeters, and then our motors on this one are about 8.5 millimeter motors. So I can't recall if the motors are the same on the 1-cell version, but there you go. You know, if you're interested in knowing what the frame is, and then of course what the motors are. You've got a really nice X-style frame, very simplistic design, but it works well. You do have a little bit of space in between those props, so if you do want to go with a little bit bigger prop, I know a lot of people are changing out the propellers for more performance. Looks like you've got about 1/4 of an inch in between those props to kind of play with, but not much. They're pretty close on there. You do have your FPV camera, of course, right up top. That is a that is a right-hand circular polarized cloverleaf antenna, so ready to go there for you. The battery does strap on the bottom with just the kind of basic rubber band. In the pictures on Gearbest, it shows it kind of wraps around the camera. Mine doesn't. It just kind of holds this little stand down, and it's just kind of 2M taped on there, double-sided tape. So probably want to do something a little bit more if yours comes like this. But nonetheless, I haven't had a problem with it so far. But I probably will do something to secure that a little bit better because it is a little bit loose. This one does have a buzzer on it as well, so I know a lot of people are switching out their QX90s and putting buzzers on it. No need with this. That is ready to go. This will have the SP Racing F3 brushed, of course, flight controller ready to go, and that is flashed with cleanflight. So you can hook it right up to cleanflight. Of course, like I said, I'll set up those pictures at the end of this so that you can see how I have it set up, so that you can bind to your Spektrum. In my case, I'm using the DX6, the new DX6E, but it should be the same for quite a bit of others. And then, of course, you do have the camera is a CMOS camera, and it's supposedly a 520 TV line camera. You do have the dip switches on the back of the FPV camera, so if you wanted to change your bands, if you're flying with a lot of other people, you can do so right there. So that's pretty nice for you guys who want to do that. I myself don't really get to fly with a ton of people and really just kind of fly by myself. But seems like a nice clean little build and setup. Everything seems pretty secure except for that camera. Although if you get a longer rubber band, that should suffice and solve that pretty easily. So nice little quadcopter. Initial build. Impressions, I like it. Everything seems pretty sturdy on this little QX90, and I really like that it's running a 2-cell. So we're going to see how that performs outside. So let's go ahead and jump right into the flight, and I'll do a little bit of line of sight to show you how it flies, and then we'll just go right into FPV footage at the end so that you can kind of see how it performs via FPV with a DVR. And then at the end of the video, I will have just some screenshots for you of how I have it set up in cleanflight. So hopefully that does help you. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Hit me up in the comments. I will try to answer them if I can. I'm not an expert, but I'm learning as I go. So learn with me, and let's go for a flight. All right, we're out here today with the QX90. We're going to go ahead and do a little bit of line of sight test, and then we'll jump right into FPV. And then, like I said, at the end of this video, we'll have the setup for cleanflight. I'll have some screen images, and if you guys have any questions, just let me know. I'll try to help you out if you do have any. This one does have a buzzer, so you'll hear that buzzer right off the bat. We'll go ahead and turn on our transmitter. And I'm going to my system setup and bind. Alright, so we're bound up. You can see here I've got my arm switch here. I've got my modes here. So we've got angle, horizon, and full acro. And then you can see it does have a buzzer. So let's go ahead and arm it. Make sure it doesn't need any trimming here. And it does have a beep. I think I need to change something in cleanflight because it just kind of beeps the whole time. But we've got a pretty good breeze to the front of me here. And just see how it handles. Lost orientation on it. And that's what happens, you hit yourself. Whoop. Alright, let's go ahead and take it up. It's very easy to kind of lose orientation on this little guy. So keep that in mind. I've got full stock settings here on our roll, our pitch. Pretty decent. I've got quite a bit of a breeze. Very cold breeze, if I may add. Kind of coming to my face now. Very chilly. But just want to show you how it handles the wind pretty decently. Lost orientation a little bit there. I think I'm going to have to do something to help with orientation. It's very easy to lose that flying line of sight. Although this isn't really meant for line of sight flying anyways, so seems to have some pretty good punch. Pretty decent punch here. So let's do a little punch test. Decent. I mean, it's no brushless quadcopter. Not bad. It's a little tricky getting it down. think I might need to get in the trims a little bit. But that's our roll, stock settings, and our pitch. Again with angle mode on, so it has full stability. So I'm going to go ahead and put it into horizon mode, which should let us do some flips, give us a little bit more angles here. Let's get a little bit closer. Let's see if we can do a flip. I don't know if we're going to be able to, though. We got this wind and I totally lost orientation right now. Whoop. And that'll be our first crash. So that was no good. I can see we bent a prop. So let's try this one more time. I think it might be a little too windy right now. So I'm going to try to do a flip. And I think I might have got something out of whack. Alright, so I think I shifted the weight a little bit on the battery. But this is real world testing here. Don't recommend flying in cold weather like this with this breeze that I'm dealing with. But that shows you what happens. So I would probably say recommend try to stay out of the wind a little bit, because it doesn't seem to handle the wind very, very well. So keep that in mind. So that's our little line of sight test. Wasn't a very good flight line of sight, although this is supposed to be FPV, so keep that in mind. You'll definitely want to have a little bit better weather to be able to do some flips. It definitely seemed like it could do it, but the wind was pushing me out of balance, or it wasn't letting me do what I wanted to do and fly the way I wanted to. So keep that in mind with this little guy. We'll go ahead and jump right into some FPV flight so you can see how it flies. I do like how this thing flies FPV indoors and in light winds. I have done a little bit of outside flights, didn't film them, and today we've got some not very good weather. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump into the FPV flight footage, and you'll see how that flies. I think I'll try to fly in this area here for you guys a little bit out of the wind. flight review of the QX90 from Gearbest.com. Again, thanks to them for sending it to for review. Like I said at the beginning, I will have a link in the description if you guys want to pick this one up. So my thoughts and impressions after flying this for a while. I've been through quite a few battery cycles. I've only got one LiPo for this quad, which is kind of a downer. So if you want to pick this one up, I highly recommend you pick up more than one of these. Because especially when you're learning, you're going to do a lot of crashing, and then you're going to have to wait to get it back up in the air to start practicing again. So out of the box with stock setup, I think it's a decent flyer, but it could use a little bit of tuning. So if you're one that's you like to tinker, you like to get into cleanflight, mess around a little bit and kind of make it your own, this could be a really big winner. A lot of people really like the Tiny QX. I think it's a nice little flyer, but I do think there is a couple other better options if you're thinking about just kind of diving right into it and not wanting to do a ton in cleanflight. But I think that this has a lot of potential. I think that this can really be an awesome outdoor flyer in the summertime with better weather. And of course an indoor flyer too, because you are running a 2-cell LiPo. You've got really decent power on this quad. So by all means, don't get me wrong, this is a really nice little setup, ready to go, bind and fly quadcopter, but it does need a little bit of tweaking. I found flying it in its stock settings, it was a little harder to control. I don't know if it's because of the extra power. I don't think so. I think it's just a little bit of tuning and some time and effort. This can be a really nice flyer. I think it is a decent flyer, but it could be a little bit better. But again, getting into clean flight, that can make this a really nice quadcopter out of the box. So, I did a review of the GB100, which I'll also leave a link in the description below. As well, if you guys want to check that out, I'll leave a link for the review and that one. And I thought that out of the box was just a much smoother, well balanced flyer right from the get-go. So for what that's worth, I'm not taking anything away from the QX90. It's got a lot of things going for it. It's got the nice buzzer. You've got the better antenna for better reception, which this couldn't compare to. I got really decent range with this, even on the other side of the house. Just around some outside flying. The 2-cell LiPo. I mean, this is what a lot of guys are doing with their QX90s. They're upping them to the 2-cell. They're putting bigger motors on them. They're putting buzzers on them, and this is ready to go. It's already done for you. So. If you like that, there's a huge community for the QX90. That's one thing that's really great about this quadcopter. The growing community for the 2-cell version is a little limited, but the information is out there. So this does have some advantages. It's got a big fan base, and there's a big community of QX90 pilots. So there's a Facebook page. So this has got a lot of cool benefits to it. But just out of the box, putting it in the air, binding it up, and flying, it does need a little bit of tweaking and some tuning. So keep that in mind, like I said. But otherwise, I really like it. It's a nice build. I've had a lot of crashes with it, just trying to get a good feel for it. I definitely have to get into clean flight and kind of make it a little bit of a smoother flyer because I'm fighting it too much and doing a lot of crashing. The cold weather and the wind didn't help, but it did fly really well, everything considering. So that's pretty much my review on the Tiny QX90 from Gearbest.com. So again, thanks to them for sending this to us for review over here at Flying Life. If you guys liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments, leave it in the description or the comment section down below, and I will try to answer them if I can, if you have any questions. And as always, please subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks again for watching, and happy flying life.